Amelia Jones sat quietly at her desk, eyes fixed on her notebook, trying to drown out the snickers and whispers around her. She'd learned to shrink into the shadows, to keep her head down. But in a school full of loud, confident teenagers, her silence seemed to scream for attention. Tyler, a popular senior with a smug grin, nudged his friend Rachel, who rolled her eyes. "There she goes again," he whispered loudly. "Think she'll ever say a word?" Rachel stifled a laugh, pulling out her phone and snapping a quick picture. "Maybe if she was normal," she replied, smirking as she posted the picture online, captioning it, "Silent and weird, Miss Invisible." Amelia caught a glimpse of the camera, her heart sinking. She knew that photo would soon spread throughout the school, with endless cruel comments. She clutched her notebook tighter, the edges digging into her palms. She'd been enduring this for weeks, mocking glances, humiliating photos, whispering that followed her everywhere. It was as if her silence and beauty were a challenge, a silent invitation for ridicule. At home, Amelia retreated to her room, wishing for the world to vanish. She wanted to be strong, but each tone chipped away at her confidence until it felt like there was nothing left. That evening, when her twin sister Angela found her crying, something in her snapped. Angela had always been the fierce one, the protector, homeschooled because of her unstoppable, fiery nature. But for her sister's sake, she would step into the world she'd been kept away from. The next morning, Angela was ready, dressed in Amelia's clothes, her expression icy and controlled as she walked into the school. She was here not as Amelia, the quiet girl everyone picked on, but as a shadow of vengeance, a twin forged in fire, ready to bring justice to those who dared harm her sister. Please like, share and subscribe. Amelia blended seamlessly into the world her twin had inhabited, wearing Amelia's gentle expressions and maintaining her reserved demeanor. But her eyes told a different story. Those who dared look into them saw a sharpness, a challenge they hadn't known in Amelia before. The day she walked into school, it was as though a storm had entered the halls. Angela knew where to start: Rachel, the ringleader and source of much of Amelia's suffering. Rachel had been one of the first to make Amelia's life miserable, often taking candid photos and posting them online, fueling a culture of mockery. So Angela waited until lunch, choosing her moment carefully. She approached Rachel's table, where she was surrounded by her group of friends, laughing and chattering. Rachel noticed her first and gave a smirk, assuming Amelia had come to sit alone, as always. "What do you want, Amelia?" Rachel sneered, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Come to sit with the cool kids for a change." Angela met Rachel's mocking eyes and gave a small smile. "Actually, yes." The table fell silent. No one expected Amelia to have the audacity to sit at their table, much less reply so directly. Angela placed her tray down and seated herself without asking for permission, her expression calm, her voice soft. "You know, Rachel," Angela began, in that quiet voice Amelia was known for, "you're quite the photographer. All those photos of me. You must really admire me, or maybe you're obsessed. Either way, it's a little pathetic, don't you think?" Rachel's face paled, caught off guard. "Obsessed with you," she scoffed, but her voice trembled just enough that a few of her friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. Angela leaned in, lowering her voice. "Yes, obsessed. Why else would you spend so much time posting about me?" Rachel's cheeks turned crimson. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I do," Angela whispered, a hint of menace in her voice. "And if I were you, I'd stop obsessing over me. I have some pretty interesting photos myself." Angela pulled her phone out and showed Rachel a picture she'd taken the day before. Rachel in a moment of vulnerability, her face smeared with makeup after gym class, looking anything but perfect. "Imagine if the school saw this," Angela said softly, her tone laced with an unspoken threat. Rachel's eyes widened, and she quickly stood, snatching her things and hurrying away from the table. Her friends sat in stunned silence, no one daring to question what had just happened. The tables turned that day, the usual mockery was nowhere to be found, and the whispers and stares followed Rachel instead. Tyler had often been Amelia's biggest tormentor, his insults usually the loudest in the hallways. Angela had heard all about Tyler from Amelia, his taunts about her being too quiet, too weird. But Angela knew his secret. She'd overheard Amelia mention it once, though her sister had never considered using it against him. Angela waited until after school when Tyler went to the gym to work out. She knew he would be there alone, finishing up his routine. She walked in just as he was lifting weights, her steps measured and calm. "Hey, Tyler," she said, her voice cool and casual. He glanced up, eyes narrowing. "What do you want, Amelia?" "Just thought I'd let you know," Angela began, walking slowly around him, "that I know something about you." Tyler scowled, shrugging her off. "Yeah. What would that be?" She leaned close, her voice a whisper. "You're struggling in school, aren't you? Failing grades, the pressure to keep up your image. Must be hard, keeping up this act." Tyler's face paled, his bravado faltering. "Who told you that?" Angela smirked. "I have my sources. And unless you want your reputation destroyed, I suggest you stay out of my way from now on." Tyler swallowed hard, his face going white. He knew the kind of power his reputation held, and the threat she posed was clear. He stammered an agreement and left the gym, visibly shaken. Over the next few weeks, Angela systematically dismantled the entire group of bullies. With each encounter, she exposed secrets, humiliated them publicly, and made it clear that Amelia was no longer their victim. Her calculated vengeance had a ripple effect through the school. When a student named Brittany mocked her in passing, Angela casually mentioned Brittany's secret crush, something she had no idea anyone knew. Brittany's friends snickered, leaving her blushing and embarrassed. Another time, she found a girl who had often joined in the bullying, and spread a rumor about her that sent her scrambling to clarify the truth. No one felt safe, and whispers about Amelia's change filled the halls. Those who'd previously tormented Amelia now avoided her, and the popularity of bullying had dwindled to nothing. Amelia had no idea what Angela had been doing. Her parents noticed that Angela was missing during the day but assumed she was staying with a friend. When Amelia finally learned what her sister had done, she was horrified. "You can't just fight fire with fire, Angela," Amelia said one night after Angela came home from another day of her retribution. "You're becoming just like them." Angela's face softened. "Amelia, you're my sister. I couldn't just watch them tear you apart." Amelia sighed. "I appreciate what you're trying to do, but revenge isn't the answer. It might feel good now, but it won't fix anything." Angela looked away, a hint of guilt flickering in her eyes. She hadn't considered the long-term consequences of her actions. But the damage was done. The next day, Amelia returned to school herself, her head held high. As she walked through the halls, she noticed people giving her space, some even nodding in greeting. She no longer felt the weight of their ridicule, but something else troubled her, the fear in their eyes. It was then that Amelia understood the extent of her sister's actions, and a sense of responsibility grew within her. In her next class, Amelia stood in front of her peers. "I want to say something," she began, her voice trembling but determined. "The way I've been treated here, it's hurt me in ways I can't even explain. But I don't want revenge. I just want kindness. I want to be treated like a person." The silence was profound. Her words resonated deeply, and guilt settled over her classmates. Rachel, sitting in the back, looked down, ashamed. Tyler avoided her gaze. Slowly, they began to realize the impact of their cruelty. From that day on, Amelia's life changed. She became a symbol of resilience and strength, not just because of what Angela had done, but because of her choice to rise above vengeance. And her classmates learned that true strength wasn't in tearing others down but in building each other up. What do you think about this amazing story? Share your opinion in the comment section. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you.